and I'd like to share with you this morning my reflections on what we have been able to do in the School of Accounting and Finance in terms of developing our online courses, and more specifically, how we have been able to use open educational resources in that process. I'd like to acknowledge those in the Center for Flexible Learning who have helped us to develop these courses. And I'm not quite sure what you say about us behind our backs. You don't have to tell me, but I suspect that we might be quite difficult to please. We might be quite picky. And I would present to you, suggest to you this morning that is because we have not been prepared to accept anything that was available and say we'll use it because it's there. We have had very high standards, and I put it to you this morning that we've always strived for excellence, and we continue to do so. And so in terms of open educational resources, we will use resources provided that we believe they are excellent, because this will contribute to an excellent learning experience for our students. So this is the past. This was the first wave, the first 3 online courses that we were able to develop in the school over the period 2014 to 2015. And what I've got on the slide is some of the challenges that we faced and how we worked around those challenges and created opportunities which we can continue to build on. So first of all, in terms of textbooks, we were provided with available textbooks. The library was helpful with this, and also CFL. We did have a look at what was available in terms of ebooks, and at the time, remember this is 2014 to 2015, we felt that what was available was not suitable for our purposes. And one of the reasons is that in terms of accounting, without getting too technical, the US accounting standards, or the US follows accounting standards that are different from the international financial reporting standards. And because we are preparing students to work with IFRS, what was developed under US GAAP was not suitable. Also, because we need to maintain our accreditation, we are very careful that what we are using as textbooks would be things that the external reviewers would agree with and would support. So those are some of the reasons why the ebooks at that time were deemed unsuitable. Now, with our existing publishers, while they did have digital copies of the books available, these came at a fee. And so we're talking about at least $50 per book. So we've already established this morning that cost is an issue for our students, and so that was not an option either. What we were able to draw from the existing textbooks was the test banks that accompany the textbooks with the instructor's resources, and it's quite easy to upload those into Moodle, and they're very helpful for self-assessment. We can also monitor that through Moodle. We can see which students are attempting the quizzes. We can see their performance. I remember one student in particular, I would say a very diligent student, a mature student, about 2 or 3 years ago. She would go through and try each test. She would retake the test until she had reached maybe, say, 80%, an 80% mark. So there are those capacities to monitor what students are doing. We also get queries, is this going to count towards my final assessment or not? And if not, a lot of them don't engage in those activities. Now, in terms of videos, what was available online, yes, I use the term boring. Again, this comes back to trying to deliver an excellent learning experience to students, and where we are trying to put ourselves into the shoes of students and imagine how students would respond to a particular resource that was provided. So when I say boring, what I mean is a lot of the videos that were available were basically voiceovers, PowerPoint voiceovers, and we were asking, where's the animation? Yeah, for example, because these courses were for the first-year students. And so we were trying to put ourselves in their shoes and imagine what do we need to do, what do we need to provide in our online course that would really appeal to students, that would get them engaged, and would provide that quality learning experience for them. So we thought, and this might sound rather arrogant, but we thought, having looked at what's available, we think we can do just as well. And we think we can develop our own videos, and so we did. And two types of videos were developed. One is the demonstration video. So basically, this is the instructor putting up a question and then going through the question, maybe highlighting certain aspects of the question, and then demonstrating how to solve the question. And this becomes a video which is available to students, maybe 10 minutes or so. That's our benchmark, not more than 10 minutes. The other type of video that we developed, these are the discussion videos. So the opportunity here is to bring in an industry expert, and they have a conversation in the video. So it's a structured discussion between the course coordinator and the industry expert. And they're talking about some relevant aspect of content for the course. And so it's just a way of repackaging the content. Instead of me telling you one way, one person talking, it's a conversation. But the learning happens through that conversation. So we were able to develop that for our first wave of courses. That was the past. So we're moving now, transitioning to the present. And I've called this a new wave, where we are focusing on our second and third year courses. We are working on it right now, and we'll continue to do so into next year. But we also now have the opportunity to revisit those first courses that were developed and to make the continuous improvements. Because we've got the shells, it's all set up, it's quite easy to modify the resources. So in terms of textbooks, I must say I was very pleasantly surprised in the process of putting this presentation together. I went back and had a look at what's available online. One of the websites that came up in Libby's presentation earlier, I believe it's Bookboon, B-O-O-K, B-O-O-N. And I found a textbook that has been published by academics from the University of Newcastle, and it's on accounting theory. And I looked at the content. There are about 10 chapters. And I said, yeah, those are the core chapters. That's the core content that we would expect in any course on accounting theory. And so I said, okay, note to self, when we get to develop this course, I know one of the possible ebooks that we could use. And it's open access, so obviously free. And as we've heard today, that can either be accessed online or, I guess, downloaded and used offline by students, printed if necessary. Although we're told, stop cutting down trees, stop printing wherever possible. In terms of videos, again, I think the point that I'd like to make here is these resources are being developed all the time, the open educational resources. So you look today, you come back maybe not tomorrow, but in a few weeks, in a month, in a year, you'll definitely find there are more resources available. So just because the resources weren't there in the past doesn't mean they won't be available now. And just because the ones in the past were not suitable doesn't mean that suitable resources have not been developed while you were doing other things. So I think the opportunity for our first year courses is to go and access some of those videos and then mix and match with what we already have. So instead of the 13 units with one instructor doing most of the demonstration videos, you could then mix and match and bring in a few of the other open educational resources. So as a case in point, the first information systems course with an AF prefix that we developed, AF121, the course writer Glenn actually developed a video more or less for each unit, either a demonstration video or a discussion video. But when we got to the second information systems course, which was based on the first template, we were able to identify at least 50% of the videos have actually come from resources available on the internet, primarily YouTube in this case, but very good we found that for certain subjects like finance and information systems, which we teach in our school, there are very good online resources relative to accounting. So again, what works in one discipline, we might have a slightly different experience in another discipline. I think what we're really looking for now is looking for cases. So teaching cases, learning cases. And the reason why we are looking for these is we've made a conscious decision to move in our teaching to case-based teaching, so that we need cases that can be used for teaching, but also cases that can be used for assessment. And so one of the things that we're looking for, we've identified as an opportunity, what we're looking for in terms of open educational resources is cases. And so case studies. For example, up to 3 or 4 pages about a particular company or about a particular issue, that's what we're looking for. So it might be text accompanied by tables, figures, things that students can actually go and analyze. They can practice their critical thinking skills, and of course there's going to be communication around that as well. So we've identified this as an opportunity, particularly as we work on the 2nd and 3rd year cases, where the case studies and the case-based learning becomes more and more important. Also, we've been able to clarify with the textbook publishers that they have given us approval to basically upload the PowerPoint slides that accompany the textbook, and we are providing that as an alternative to text. When I say text, you will be aware that in our print courses, there's always been this study guide, which contains text for each unit. And so when developing the online courses, that text was brought over, reviewed and modified, and made available through Moodle. But in some courses which have never been offered in print, there's no text material. And so what we've done is brought in the PowerPoint slides and then supplemented the PowerPoint slides with readings and other resources. Okay, how about the future? This is looking ahead, and these are some suggestions for further discussion. In terms of textbooks, I know this is force of habit. We have become used to working with certain textbooks because in the discipline, these textbooks are recognized as, that is the text that you should be using. And so that if you're moving from Fiji to an Australian university or New Zealand university, they ask, okay, what course? Next question, what textbook? And if you give the right answer, tick. And if you give an unexpected answer, you'll probably get a quizzical look. So again, this goes back to our accreditation, and I'm just flagging that will be a very important issue for our school, having a textbook that will be acceptable to the reviewers who come in from a professional background as well. And so one of the things that we're thinking about is with our existing publishers, primarily Wiley and McGraw-Hill, is there an opportunity across the university to actually negotiate with these publishers about making ebooks available through licensing agreements? I don't know all the technicalities. What I'm doing here is raising a question. I'm saying, what if? Or is there a way? How do we go about doing this? So that's one question that I'm raising in relation to textbooks. For videos, I think in terms of open educational resources, again, not meaning to be arrogant, and I must admit I didn't do any of these videos myself. So I'm speaking on behalf of others. But I'm sure that with the videos we've developed, there are some really good ones. So how do we make those available to other people? For example, somebody who wants to know, how do I prepare bank reconciliation? How do I manage my inventory? Well, we have videos that can help you do that. So how do we make what we've developed available online? Back to the cases. So in the top right-hand quadrant, again, speaking to a niche area for USP. I think that in our courses, we have This is sometimes through student work, where students have undertaken projects and they've gathered the material. But in other cases, it's what the course instructors have developed over the years in terms of their portfolio of cases. So I think we have very good cases on small business, possibly micro business. I think we have very good cases on sustainable business, going back to climate change, sustainability, and also niche businesses. So the businesses that have done very well in the Pacific. So just to name two, Fiji Water and Pure Fiji. So, I mean, wouldn't these be cases that people all over the world would want to know about and could learn through? So I think that's an opportunity to develop and share cases online through open educational resources. And finally, in terms of courses, I don't think at this stage our school is looking to develop a MOOC, but perhaps we could share some sections of our courses, or we could think about delayed access to some of that material, or we could think about abridged content. So instead of the whole course, which is 13 units offered for credit, maybe we have 3 units, so abridged versions that can be made available through open educational resources. So colleagues, I hope this morning, I won't show you the video. That was just one of the videos that we had developed. But this morning, I hope I've been able to share with you what we've done in the past, what we are doing at the moment, what we hope to be able to do. It's been an interesting journey, and I acknowledge those in CFL who've helped us. We hope we haven't given you too many gray hairs in the process. Thank you.